This story happened last year during a short trip I took to Mexico. I was going through a rough patch in my personal life, and I figured a solo vacation might help clear my head. I didn't want a hotel. I wanted something quieter, something that felt more like living there rather than just visiting.
So I booked an Airbnb apartment on the outskirts of Mérida. The reviews were positive, though there weren't many of them. That should have been my first red flag, but I brushed it off. When I arrived, the apartment looked just like the photos. The key was waiting for me in a lockbox, and everything seemed normal. The walls were freshly painted white, the floors had that patterned ceramic design you see in a lot of older Mexican houses, and the living room had just enough furniture to be comfortable. Still, there was something off. The place had this faint smell of bleach, like it had been scrubbed down recently, but beneath that was an older odor. Dampness, like wet clothes left in a corner too long. I tried not to think about it. I was tired from the flight, and honestly, all I wanted was to sleep. The first couple of days were fine. I walked to a little fruit stand at the end of the street, bought groceries, cooked my own meals, and even spent a few afternoons sitting on the balcony with a book. It was peaceful, exactly what I wanted. But on the third night, things started to change. It was just after midnight. I was in bed, scrolling on my phone, when I heard something inside the apartment. At first, I thought it came from outside, a neighbor maybe. But then I realized it was too close. It was the sound of a door slowly creaking open. Not the front door. This was softer, inside the apartment. I sat up, heart already racing, and listened. The sound was coming from the second bedroom, the one down the hall. The one I hadn't even opened since I got there. I froze, holding my breath, straining my ears. The creaking stopped, but the silence after was worse. Eventually, I forced myself out of bed, grabbed my phone flashlight, and stepped into the hallway. Sure enough, the second bedroom door was ajar, just enough to see the dark space beyond it. I swear to you, I had left it shut when I first arrived. Slowly, I pushed it open. The room was empty, completely bare except for an old mattress on the floor and a cracked window facing an alley. The air inside was colder somehow, stale and heavy, like it hadn't been opened in years. I told myself it must have been the wind. Even though the night was still and humid, that explanation was easier than admitting something else. I shut the door, locked my own bedroom, and spent the rest of the night wide awake. The next morning, I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was just paranoid, overthinking, maybe even dreaming. For most of the day, I felt silly for being so on edge. But that night, the apartment made sure I knew I wasn't imagining things. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up to a sound. Footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps moving across the tile floor of the hallway. They weren't rushed, not hesitant either. Just steady, like someone who knew exactly where they were going. I lay frozen in bed, staring at the thin line of light beneath my door. That's when I saw it. Shadows, the outline of bare feet. Someone was standing just outside my room. I clutched my phone in one hand, debating whether to call the police. But I didn't even know the local emergency number, and in that moment, moving, making any sound at all felt impossible.
The doorknob turned once, a slow rattle, then stopped. And that's when I heard it. Breathing. Heavy, uneven, raspy breaths pressed right against the door, as if someone was leaning their face on the other side, listening for me. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to do something, but I just lay there, frozen, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours, and the breathing stopped. The shadow shifted, and then silence. I thought it was over. I thought maybe I'd hallucinated the whole thing. But then, something made me glance toward the window beside my bed, and that's when I saw it. Reflected in the glass was a face. Not human, not fully. Its skin was stretched too tight, gray and lifeless. The eyes were pitch black, too wide, too aware, locked directly on mine. And the mouth, open impossibly wide, frozen in a silent scream that showed no teeth, no tongue, just darkness. I spun around instantly, but the room was empty. Nothing there. I barely slept after that. I shoved a chair against the door and sat awake until morning, every creak of the old building making me flinch. When the sun finally rose, the apartment looked perfectly normal. Too normal, like it had been mocking me the whole time. I packed my bags and left within the hour. I didn't care about the money. I booked a hotel downtown and never went back. When I messaged the host about what had happened, they acted confused, claimed no one else had access, and said maybe I was just dreaming. But I know what I saw. Even now, I can't shake that face from my memory, the way it stared at me through the glass, silent, patient, aware. And sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night, I swear I can still hear that breathing, heavy, rasping, just outside my bedroom door.